She had nothing left, except her body heat. The wind was cold, so cold it could cut through skin like a knife. The sky above was gray. The ground below was white, frozen with snow. On this dead planet, no animals ran. No birds flew. No fire burned. Only cold. Endless cold. She walked through that cold. A mother, weak and tired. Her skin was pale purple. Her body was thin, bones showing. Her legs shook with every step. But she kept walking. In her arms, she held her little daughter. The child's eyes were closed. Her face was blue. Her breath was weak. But she was still alive. The mother whispered, "Hold on, my child. Just a little more. Please." There was no help coming. No shelter. No food. No other life. Their people were gone. Killed in the war. Burned. Frozen. Hunted. The human army had destroyed their homes, their cities, their families. She had run far, far away. Only she and her daughter had survived. But now even hope was dying. She looked around. Nothing but ice and rocks. The storm was getting worse. Her bare feet were red and bleeding. Her clothes were thin and torn. The child was shaking in her arms. The mother fell to her knees. She was too weak to walk now. The cold wrapped around her like death. She looked at her daughter again. The child's tiny hands were ice. Her lips were purple. Her breathing slow. "No, no," the mother whispered. Her hands shook. She had only one choice now. With frozen fingers, she slowly pulled off her clothes, the last pieces she had. She wrapped them around the child, layer by layer. Her own skin touched the freezing wind. She pressed her warm body against the child, giving her the last of her heat. Tears ran down her cheeks. They turned to ice before falling. "Please, live. Even if I die, you must live." She held the child close, rocking her gently, whispering songs from long ago. The snow fell harder. The wind screamed. Her body grew colder, weaker. But then, she heard something. A sound. A crunch in the snow. Footsteps. Her eyes snapped open. Her ears twitched. She looked up. Through the thick white storm, she saw a shape. Tall. Broad. Moving slowly toward her. She held her child tighter, afraid. The shape came closer. And now she saw it. A man. But not like her. Not one of her kind. A human. Tall, wearing black armor. A mask covered his face. He had a long weapon on his back. His boots were heavy. His hands were covered in thick gloves. The mother's heart raced. Humans had destroyed everything. She tried to stand, to run, but her legs failed. She grabbed a sharp rock from the ground. If he tried to hurt them, she would fight. The human stopped a few steps away. He looked at her, then at the child in her arms. Silence. Then slowly he knelt down. The mother tensed. Her grip on the rock tightened. But the human did something strange. He opened a bag on his back, reached inside, and pulled out a soft, warm blanket. It glowed with heat. He placed it on the ground, gently. He pulled out a heat pack, a small metal box. He pressed a button. The box lit up and began to glow, warming the air. The human didn't speak. He didn't move closer. He just waited. The mother looked at the warm things, then at the man. She didn't trust him, but the child in her arms needed heat. Now, carefully, she moved closer to the blanket. She placed the child on it, covered her with the soft cloth. The child's breathing grew stronger. The mother's body shook with cold, but she stayed beside her daughter. The human stood up. He took a step back, showing he meant no harm. Still silent, still waiting. The mother's eyes met his. In that moment, just a second, she saw something in his eyes. Not hate, not anger, not even fear. She saw kindness. Then, everything went dark. Her eyes closed. Her body gave up. But before falling fully, she felt two strong arms catching her. Warm arms. Human arms. The mother woke slowly. Her eyes blinked open. The world was blurry. Her body felt heavy, cold, but not frozen. She felt warmth. She looked down. Her daughter was still beside her, sleeping peacefully, wrapped in a glowing blanket. A soft hum came from the heat box beside them. The fire was still burning, and she was still alive. But how? She remembered falling, remembered the cold taking her. Then arms, strong arms, carrying her. She sat up slowly. Her body ached, but it was not in pain anymore. Someone had covered her with a thick coat. Not hers, human-made, heavy and warm. She looked around. The storm had stopped. Snowflakes still fell, but the wind was calm. The white land stretched far into the distance. And then she saw him, the man, the human. He was sitting a short distance away, facing the other direction. He had removed his helmet. His hair was short, dark, his face rough and tired. A scar ran down his cheek. He was cleaning a weapon. Long, sharp, with lights on the side. Some kind of rifle. His hands moved with care, like he had done this many times before. The mother's heart beat faster. She didn't move. She watched. This was the man who had saved them. But why? Humans were not saviors. They were destroyers. Soldiers. Killers. She looked at her daughter again. The child's breathing was steady now. Color had returned to her cheeks. The mother's hand tightened around the coat. She slowly stood, weak legs shaking. She didn't have her rock anymore. No weapon. No power. She stepped toward him, just a little. The man didn't turn around. "You're awake," he said without looking. His voice was deep, calm, not cold, not cruel. She froze. He placed the rifle beside him, slowly, showing he wouldn't use it. Then he turned to face her. Their eyes met. The mother took a small step back, unsure. "I won't hurt you," he said. "I'm not like the others." She didn't answer. Her people didn't speak English, not much. But she understood some. Just a little. Enough. Still, she didn't trust him. She narrowed her eyes. The man raised his hands slightly, open and slow. "You were dying," he said. "I couldn't leave you." He stood now, tall, strong, but not threatening. His eyes were tired, but clear, focused, serious. The mother stayed silent. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked down, touched her daughter's forehead, still warm. "Her name?" he asked gently. She looked up, then spoke, slowly, her voice soft and strange to his ears. "Lura, Lura," he repeated. "It's beautiful." The mother paused. She watched him carefully. He stepped closer to the fire, picked up a small metal pack, opened it. Inside was some kind of food, warm, steaming. He held it out to her. "Eat," he said. "You need it." She hesitated, then reached out, took the pack slowly. The food smelled strange, but it was warm. She tasted it. It wasn't bad. She ate. The man gave her another for the child. The silence between them was not heavy. It was strange, like two enemies who didn't want to be enemies anymore, but didn't know how to stop. After a while, he sat again, across the fire from her. "My name's Ray," he said. "Ray Carter, Earth Special Recon." "Well, not anymore." She looked at him. He smiled a little. "I left them. The army. The war. I saw what we did. I couldn't follow it anymore." She didn't fully understand, but she understood one word. War. Yes, war had taken everything from her. Her family, her home, her people. Ray saw the pain in her eyes. He nodded. "I'm sorry," he said, "for what we did." She didn't reply. He looked out into the snow. "I've been alone a long time," he said. "Hiding, running from both sides. But when I saw you out there, I couldn't just walk away." She listened quietly. Then, for the first time, she spoke more clearly. "Why help?" Ray looked into the fire for a moment. Then he said softly, "Because if we don't help each other now, then what's the point of surviving?" The words hung in the cold air. She looked at him. Really looked. Maybe not all humans were monsters. She wrapped the coat tighter around her shoulders and looked up at the sky. Clouds were clearing. A bit of blue showed through. But then, a sound. Not wind. Not snow. Something mechanical. A deep, distant engine roar. Ray stood up fast, picked up his rifle. His face changed. "No," he whispered. "They found me." The sound grew louder. A sharp, heavy rumble across the cold sky, like a beast made of metal. The mother looked up, her eyes filled with fear. Ray stepped in front of her and the child, weapon raised, eyes searching the clouds. A black shape moved in the sky, fast and low. A drone, human-made. Its red eyes scanned the ground below. It flew in circles, then zoomed away. Ray waited, silent, still. Then he lowered the gun and sighed. "We need to move," he said. "They know I'm alive. And now they've seen you." The mother stared at him. Her arms tightened around her daughter. Her body was still weak. "Where go?" she asked in broken words. Ray pointed toward the distant mountains. "There's a place. An old bunker. Hidden. Safe. For now." The mother didn't speak. She looked at the white land ahead, miles of snow, ice, and wind. Then she looked down at Lura still sleeping. She nodded. They had no choice. They walked in silence. Ray moved ahead, clearing the path. His boots broke through ice and snow. He checked the sky often, looked behind, listened. The mother followed, holding her daughter in the warm blanket. Her feet were covered now, wrapped with cloth Ray had given her. It was cold, but they were not dying anymore. As they walked, her eyes kept returning to the man ahead. He was human, but different. He spoke softly. He never shouted. He helped without asking anything. And when her legs shook, and she almost fell, he came back, carried the child for her. Why? Why would a human help her? Hours passed. They reached the edge of a frozen forest. Trees stood like black bones, covered in frost. The sun was low. Ray stopped and pointed. "We'll rest here." They built a small fire under fallen branches. The heat box kept the cold away. Ray shared more food. Lura was awake now, eating with weak hands. The mother sat close, watching. Then finally she spoke again. "You not kill." Ray looked at her. "No. Other humans kill." "Yes, many do." "Why, you not same?" He was quiet for a while. Then he said, "Because I saw a child die. One like yours. It was my mission." They said, "Burn the village. No survivors." His voice was flat, heavy. "I did it. I followed orders." He looked at his hands. They were shaking. "But I saw her. A little girl. Crying. Burning. I still see her in my dreams." He turned away. "I left the army that day. Took what I could. Ran. Been hiding since." The mother watched him. "You feel pain?" she asked. "Yes," he said softly. "Every day." She looked at Lura, then back at Ray. "You save her." He didn't answer. She whispered, "Thank you." Ray nodded. After a moment, he pulled out a small round object. A hollow disc. He pressed it. A soft light glowed. A blue image floated above. A woman, smiling with a baby in her arms. "My family," he said. "Long gone." The mother reached out, touched the image gently. Then, for the first time, she spoke her own name. "Sira." Ray looked at her. "Sira," he repeated. "That's a strong name." She smiled, just a little. But then, the fire cracked. Sira froze. Ray stood. Footsteps. From the trees. Something was coming. Not drones. Not humans. Something worse. The sound of claws on ice. Ray raised his rifle. "Stay close." Out of the dark trees came glowing eyes. 4 of them. Low growls. Then a scream, long, sharp. Alien. Ice beasts. They hunted in packs. Blind but fast. They could smell weakness. Smell blood. Smell fear. One jumped forward. Ray fired. A blast of light burned through the cold air. One beast fell. 2 more ran in from the sides. Ray moved fast like a trained soldier. But there were too many. He shot one, dodged another, but one beast bit his arm. Blood spilled. Sira stood. She didn't run. She grabbed a burning stick from the fire and swung it. Flames hit the beast's face. It screamed and ran. Ray pushed the last one back with a knife. Then all was quiet. Only smoke and blood. Ray fell to his knees, breathing hard. His arm was bleeding badly. Sierra ran to him. He tried to wave her off. "I'm fine." She tore a strip from her coat and tied it tight around the wound. "No," she said. "You help me. Now, I help you." Their eyes met again, not as enemies, not even as strangers, but as survivors. Together. Night came fast. The stars above were sharp and cold, like knives watching from the sky. Ray sat near the edge of the frozen forest, his back against a rock. His arm was wrapped tightly. Blood had stopped, but pain still burned deep in the muscle. Sierra sat nearby, holding Lura close. The fire was small but warm. The blanket wrapped around the child glowed faintly, keeping her safe. Sierra looked at Ray again and again. He didn't speak much after the attack. He sat still, watching the trees, listening, thinking. She knew what he was doing. He was waiting for more. Far from them, in the dark forest, something moved again. But this time Ray didn't wait. He stood up, picked up his rifle, checked the ammo. "You stay here," he said to Sierra. "If I don't come back, keep going north. You'll find an old station, hidden under the mountain. It's safe there." Sierra stood too. "No, I come." He shook his head. "You're hurt." "She's weak. I'll move faster alone." She stepped forward. "You fight for us." "Yes. Then I protect you." Ray gave a small smile. "You already did." He turned, checked the forest, then disappeared into the shadows. The snow was falling again. Not heavy, but steady, like the planet was trying to cover up its secrets. Ray moved fast and quiet. His boots made soft prints. His breath was slow and controlled. He had trained for this. Before the war, he was a hunter, a scout, a ghost in the field. Now he was doing it again, but not for a mission. This time for something real. He found them near a fallen tree. For ice beasts. Big, low, bone-white creatures with long claws and blue eyes that glowed in the dark. They sniffed the ground, looking, searching, for blood, for warmth, for prey. Ray crouched behind a frozen rock. He studied their movements, waited. One beast turned its head. Ray moved, quick, sharp, silent. He threw a sound bomb, a small device that let out a loud, high-pitched scream. It exploded between the beasts. They roared, confused. Ray fired. One down. Two turned and charged. He dropped to the ground, rolled, fired again. A hit, another dead. But the last one jumped, faster than he expected. His claws slashed his side. His gun flew from his hands. Ray yelled in pain, grabbed a knife from his belt, and stabbed the beast's neck. Blood sprayed, black and steaming. The beast fell, twitching. Ray lay there, gasping. Cold air filled his lungs. He looked at the stars again. Still watching, still waiting. Back at the camp, Sierra watched the fire. Every second felt long and sharp. Lura was asleep again. Sierra looked into the trees. No sound, no sign. She waited, then footsteps. Ray stumbled out of the forest, dragging his rifle, one arm hanging. Blood on his side. Sierra ran to him. He smiled weakly. "We're safe for now." Then he collapsed. Sierra didn't panic. She pulled him to the fire, tore her own blanket into strips, cleaned his wound, sealed it with a heat pack. She had watched him enough, learned enough. She worked fast, quiet, like a soldier. Ray opened his eyes, barely. "You did good," he whispered. "You fight," she said. "I heal." He smiled. "Good team." They both laughed, just a little. Tired, broken laughter. Then silence again. But not fear. Not anymore. Later, as Ray slept, Sierra looked through his bag. She found a map, hand-drawn, marked with red symbols. Danger zones, patrol routes. A circle in the north marked old outpost, possible shelter. She understood what it meant. Hope. She folded the map and kept it close. Then she looked at Ray again. This man, this human, was not just strong. He was brave. And alone. Until now. The next morning, Ray opened his eyes. He saw the fire still burning, Sira still watching, Lura still safe. "You stayed," he said. She nodded. "We go now?" she asked. Ray sat up slowly, pain in every muscle. But he nodded too. "Yes, we move." Together they packed what they had, covered the fire, wrapped Lura warm. Then they began to walk again, north, toward the unknown, but no longer afraid, because now they walked together, and neither one was alone anymore. Snow fell softer now. The sky above was clear, pale and wide, but the cold had not left. It clung to the world like a second skin. Ray walked ahead, slower than before. His wounds were healing, but pain followed with every step. Sira followed, carrying Lura, who slept in the warm blanket like a tiny piece of peace in a world made of ice. They had walked for hours. No words, no sounds but wind. Then Ray stopped. He raised a hand, signaling danger. Sira froze. Ahead was a ridge of ice. Beyond it, sharp metal sticks rose from the snow. Broken antennas, a half-buried dome, twisted panels of rusted iron. The old outpost. Ray pointed. "We're here." Sira's eyes scanned the ruins. Her people had spoken of places like this. Old human stations. Abandoned. Dead. But even dead places could hide life or worse. Ray moved carefully now. Each step quiet. Rifle ready. Sira followed. They passed shattered machines, torn wires, and signs written in a language she didn't know. Everything was still. Too still. Ray stepped into the main structure. The door opened with a loud hiss. Inside, darkness, cold walls, broken lights. He took a breath and entered. It was warmer inside. Dry air, old tech, dust everywhere. Ray lit a small lantern. He moved through the halls like he remembered them. Yes, this place was from his side of the war. A hidden base, left behind when Earth forces pulled out. He found a control panel. Dead. But he was ready. From his pack, he pulled out a solar battery. Plugged it into the system. Lights flickered. Screens blinked. Then, power returned. Sira stepped inside slowly, holding Lura tight. The lights hummed. Doors unlocked. A metal voice said, "System online. Welcome back, Lieutenant Carter." Ray stared at the screen. He hadn't heard that voice in years. They set up camp in a back room. A place once used for medicine, maybe. Sira laid Lura down on a cot. Ray opened food packs, checked supplies, looked through logs on the system. "Some rations here," he said. "Clean water. Might last a week." Sira smiled faintly. Good. For the first time. They had a roof. A door. A real chance to rest. But that night, Ray couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the hall, staring at a screen. Old messages. Old faces. A soldier's past. He clicked through one file after another, his face quiet, but his eyes full. Then he heard a sound. Soft steps behind him. Sira. She sat beside him. Said nothing. On the screen was a photo. A boy, maybe 6 years old. Brown eyes. Big smile. "Your son?" she asked. Ray nodded. "Evan. Where is he?" Ray didn't speak for a long time. Then he whispered, "Gone. During the first strike. I wasn't there. I was fighting on another planet. When I returned, only ash." Sira's eyes filled with sorrow. "I am sorry." Ray looked at her. "Me too." Suddenly, the screen glitched. Static. A red warning. Signal detected. Unknown location. Tracking enabled. Ray stood fast. No, 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 no. He slammed the console, unplugged the system. Too late. He looked at Sira, eyes sharp with fear. "They found us." Sira's heart dropped. "Who?" "Humans. My own side. Or what's left of them. They'll come. They want this tech. And they don't leave witnesses." Sira clutched Lura, who had just woken up. Ray grabbed his rifle, loaded it. His hands moved fast, but his breathing was heavy. Pain pulsed in his side. She saw it. He was strong but not unbreakable. And now he was breaking. His hands shook. Sira stood, walked up to him, took the rifle from his hands. He looked confused. You protect us before, she said softly. Now, I protect you. Ray stared at her, and for the first time, truly, he nodded. He wasn't alone anymore. The outpost lights dimmed. Snow started again. But this time, they would not run. They would fight. Together. The outpost was quiet, but it was the kind of quiet before a storm. The lights flickered. The old metal walls groaned softly, like they remembered war. Outside, the snow fell heavier now, coating the broken antennas and half-buried machines like a white funeral cloth. Ray sat near the entrance with his rifle resting across his knees. His jaw was tight, his wounds wrapped. Syrah stood across from him, her daughter Lura asleep in a corner, wrapped in blankets, hidden under a table near the heater. Neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The silence between them had changed. It was no longer the silence of fear. It was the silence before action. Ray finally spoke. His voice was low. They'll come in machines. Armored carriers. They'll scan for heat and movement. First a drone, then boots. Syrah tilted her head. How long? Ray looked at his broken watch. Hours. Maybe less. Syrah nodded. She was not a soldier. Not like him. But she had lost everything. She had survived the frozen plains. And she had learned. They moved together now, no need to explain. Ray showed her the weak walls, the old traps, the escape paths. Syrah found the fuel cells, working wires, and strange metal parts. She asked questions in simple words. He answered in nods and signs. Together, they built small fire bombs, pressure triggers, smoke traps. Every moment mattered. Every second was a gift they might not get again. Then, they rested for a moment. Ray sat beside Syrah in the old control room. He opened a small black box. Inside, an old chip. A memory card. Earth, he said softly. Before everything. Syrah looked at it. Your home. Ray nodded. It was green, he said. Warm. Oceans. Trees. People. Some good, some bad. She was quiet. Then she said, My people think all humans are evil. Ray glanced at her. And you? She thought for a moment. Looked at her sleeping child. Looked at Ray. Not all, she said. Ray gave a tired smile. Same with us. They told us aliens were monsters. That we had to fight. Had to win. I believed it. He looked down. Until I saw the truth. Until I saw them crying. Just like us. Outside a sound. Low. Mechanical. A hum. Ray froze. He rushed to the panel. Opened the live camera feed. A small scout drone hovered in the sky. Red lights scanning. Behind it, movement in the snow. Ray's face hardened. They're here. Syrah didn't ask questions. She ran to Lura. Kissed her forehead. Whispered soft words. Wrapped her tightly in the coat. Then she grabbed the bag of supplies and pressed it into Ray's chest. You take her, she said. Ray looked shocked. No. I'm not leaving you. You go. You are fast. I stay. I slow them. No, he snapped. I won't do that. You can run. I cannot. I am mother. I stay. Ray grabbed her shoulders. We fight. Together. Or we don't fight at all. She looked into his eyes. Not as an alien. Not as a stranger. But as someone who mattered. Then she nodded. Together. Outside, the wind picked up. A dropship appeared through the clouds. Black, wide, like a dark wing of death. Its engines shook the snow. It landed hard. Doors opened. Figures stepped out, tall, armored humans. Their weapons glowed with blue light. Their helmets hid their faces. But not their mission. Wipe the area. Secure the tech. Kill everything that moves. Inside, Ray and Syrah took their positions. She held a fire stick rigged to explode with pressure. He watched the monitors. One soldier stepped on the trap. Boom! A flash of fire. Screams. Smoke. The soldiers fired blindly. Syrah threw another charge. Ducked. Rolled. Her heart beat like thunder. But she did not fall. Ray fired from the back, clean shots, one by one. But they kept coming. More boots. More fire. Syrah was cornered. 2 soldiers broke through the side door. They aimed. Then a blur. Ray tackled one. Fought hand to hand. A blade. A scream. Blood. He was hurt again. Falling. The other soldier raised his gun at Sira. She closed her eyes. Bang. A shot rang out. When she opened her eyes, the soldier was down. Lura stood behind him, holding Ray's sidearm, her hands shaking. But she had saved her mother. After the battle, there was silence. Smoke filled the outpost. The snow outside was red in places. Ray lay on the ground, bleeding again. Sira held his hand. "You okay?" she asked. Ray coughed, smiled weakly. Still breathing. She smiled too. Lura knelt beside them. Her eyes were wide, but strong. Ray looked at her. "You're brave," he whispered. "Like your mother." Then he looked at Sira. "I told you once. Not all humans are the same." Sira nodded. "And not all aliens are weak." They all looked toward the mountain now. A new future was waiting, but only if they could reach it. The snow had stopped. For the first time in many days, the sky above was open. Pale blue, cold, but clear. Sunlight touched the ruins of the outpost and the broken bodies that lay in the snow. Silence returned, but it was not peace. It was the quiet after survival. Ray lay against a wall inside the shattered outpost. His face was pale. His side was bleeding again. He looked at Sira and Lura, kneeling beside him, their faces marked with ash and worry. Sira's hands pressed on his wound, trying to stop the blood. Her fingers were shaking. "You'll be okay," she whispered. "You'll live." Ray gave her a tired smile. "You're a terrible liar," he said. She smiled too, weak but real. Lura sat close, holding Ray's hand. "You saved us," Sira said. Ray's eyes closed. "No, you saved me." But then something changed in the air. A sound. Not danger. Not machines. Wings. Engines. Above. Ray opened his eyes again. "That sound." Sira looked up. In the sky, a light, silver, sharp, cutting through clouds. A ship. Not a drone. Not a dropship. Something else. Something Earth-built but not military. Ray reached into his jacket and pulled out a small black disc. A beacon. He pressed it. The light blinked green. "I sent a signal," he said. "Before the battle. Emergency request." There was a chance. Just a small one. Sira's eyes widened. "You called humans?" "Not soldiers," Ray whispered. "Civilians. Resistance. People like me. People who ran from the war." The ship grew closer. It slowed. Hovered above the outpost. Then soft hiss. It began to land. Lura stood and pointed. "They're here," she said. The ship opened. 3 figures stepped out. Humans, but without guns. Without armor. Wrapped in jackets. Faces visible. Calm. One of them ran to Ray. "Ray Carter?" she asked. He nodded weakly. "Been looking for you for months. We heard your signal." She looked at Sira, then at Lura. "You're not alone." Ray smiled. "Not anymore." They helped him up. Carefully. Gently. Sira held one side, refusing to let go. Inside the ship, the warmth was like summer. Clean walls. Bright lights. Real beds. The woman from the rescue crew turned to Sira. "You're not human," she said carefully. Sira stood tall. Protective. Ray spoke before she could. "She's with me. And her daughter." The woman paused, then nodded. "Then they're with us too." Hours passed. Ray slept in a medical pod. Machines healed the worst wounds. Sira sat beside him. Lura curled in her lap. She looked out the window. Below, the frozen planet grew smaller as the ship rose higher. She had never left the ground before. Never seen the sky from this angle. It was beautiful. Terrifying. New. Later, Ray woke. Clean. Alive. He saw Sira sitting there, holding his hand. "You stayed," he whispered. "Always," she said. He looked at Lura, now laughing with another child, human, same age, near the back of the ship. Ray turned back to Sira. "There's a place," he said. "They call it Haven. far from Earth. A colony where humans and aliens live in peace. I think we can go there. Sira nodded slowly. Yes, we go. He squeezed her hand. No war, no orders, just life. As the ship flew through space, past stars and broken moons, Sira looked out and whispered something to herself in her native tongue. Ray didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Hope, real hope, for the first time. She had nothing left. No food, no home, not even clothes to keep her daughter warm. And yet she gave all she had. Her body, her strength, her heart. But in the darkest hour, a stranger came. A human, once feared, now trusted. Together they survived the cold. Together they found something greater than war. They found family.